Good evening, boys and girls. Good afternoon, good morning, no matter where in the world you might be. Welcome to a brand new week at the Highbury Squad. It's a blank canvas. Let's paint some football pictures and tell some stories. And Super Kev is back.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Good afternoon, good morning, hello, wherever in the world you might be. Let us know where in the world you are, of course. It's Highbury Squad Central on a Monday. We're back, as is my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kev, Super Kevin Campbell.
Squaddies, hope you had a good weekend and enjoyed the 3-0 win. Now let's get down to Monday Madness business. At ease. Let's go.
That's right, Super Kev. We've got a lot of business to get through. A couple of housekeeping items before we do, everyone. So, as you may know, here in the United States, there were some devastating tornadoes over the weekend that have impacted many, many lives, including some of our fine Gooner friends from our Arsenal America branches. It has been absolutely catastrophic, devastating, and just before the holidays and also during a difficult time dealing with the pandemic. It's the last thing that people need. So our very good friend MK Liebman has donated her O2 signed shirt by Ray Parler and Freddie Lundberg to help raise money. If you can please go to arsenallosangeles.com, you can donate $5, $2, whatever you can afford. Your name goes into a raffle and you might get the chance to win the shirt. It's all to help our good friends, and we're thinking of our Arsenal America groups in Kentucky, Illinois, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Missouri as well. Kev, really difficult time for a lot of our Gooner friends out there and also people in general.
Yeah, very, very difficult. I mean, it was devastating, the destruction that it caused. And especially at this time, you know, it's so difficult. And,
Yeah.
you know, fair play to MK for doing her bit. Because, you know, it's such a nice human touch to be able to try and do something for not only the Gooners, but everybody concerned. You know, every little helps. So
Absolutely.
it really does. Every little does help. So well
it really does. $1 amounts to a lot of dollars at the end of the day. And Akram, thank you so much for your blessings and your well wishes. All of the squaddies who are sending love, thank you so much. And we're going to do what we can to help them raise that money. As you know, the Highbury Squad is always here to spread the good word and help however they can. So go to arsenallosangeles.com, and it's right below the main picture fold. You'll see it immediately on that page. Okay, lots of us have a lot to say about a certain, not sure if you can call him Captain Super Kev, but many threads and conversations on the social sphere about this fella. And for me personally, I want you to take me into the mind of a player. If he's your captain, if you're in the dressing room with this guy. But firstly, our manager's getting a lot of criticism too for going public and also disciplining him. Can you give me your take from top to bottom when it comes to Aubameyang? You've always said to us that senior players might or do get treated differently, but that doesn't mean you're immune to being treated differently to the detriment of what the rules are that management team puts out. What say you, Kev?
Sophie, I'm going to start with a question, because I keep hearing from some Gooners that Arteta's thrown him under the bus. I've never heard so much nonsense in all my life. So let me ask a question to the Gooners. If we are relying on the experienced players to help the youngsters through, when the senior players behave like this, what does the manager do? Does the manager let it slide? Because I can guarantee you, Sophie, this is not the first time there's been a breach since. But he felt compelled that he had to drop him. Now, I don't fully know exactly what it is, but when it's your captain as well, Sophie, you shouldn't even have to worry about timekeeping. You shouldn't. You said last year, and I agreed with you about the North London derby. It was right that he got dropped.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying that Arteta chucked him on the bus. Nonsense. You tell me anybody who works, who turns up late for work, who'll just get away with it. Anybody in the chat, you tell me, oh, it's going to be all right. No, it's not all right. It is not all right. And you're captain of Arsenal Football Club. The Arsenal, I just can't believe some people. Maybe, Sophie, it's the fact that they don't like the manager. That's sometimes the way. They don't like the manager, so they don't want to give the manager any credit, which is fine. But on this one, there's nobody that can tell me this behavior is acceptable. It's not.
I'm going to have to read some of these out for you because we've got Michael who says, bravo, Aubameyang. We don't usually do this type of thing on a Monday, but your comments, they're coming in thick and fast, and I want Kev to see them because he feels strongly about this too. Bravo, Aubameyang. He's sick of Arteta's process. Demsek says Oba wants to go. Future Shock says the whole situation is a shambles. Anik says he did report to the training ground in time. Anik, he reported, but unfortunately not in the time and the manner and fashion of which the manager wanted him to, because then he wasn't able to take his COVID test.
Sophie, here's the issue for Anik and all these guys. You're captain of the Arsenal Football Club. You're not a normal player. You are the captain. You lead by example. So the fact of the matter is, if you know you've got to take a COVID test, that means you've got to be there earlier. You don't just turn up when you want to. What is this?
I also don't believe in this whole, you're a professional footballer, you're the highest paid player, not only at Arsenal, he's actually one of the highest paid players in the entire Premier League. The armband is weighing him down. A lot of fans have thought this for a long time, but that is no excuse also, Kev. I wanted to put up this comment for you. As you know, guys, we do have opposing fans that listen to the show, and we welcome them all the time. Not necessarily Mo here, but rules are rules, applies to everyone, especially the captain. Andy says, I'm anti-Arteta, but I back him with this. David says he's thrown himself under the bus. Good evening to our token Spurs fan, Ethelston. Always good to see you in the house. Your team suffering a lot with all these everyone going down sick as well. It's a terrible situation. Marvin says that Arteta is the one doing the bus throwing, Kev. And then this is the one, Dinesh, who's a Liverpool fan. That's why your manager is below average. You keep it in-house like other world-class managers have done in the past. Kev, modern-day football for me is different. I mean, Mourinho's on another level of throwing players under the bus. That's spiteful and vindictive. I think what Arteta's trying to illustrate too, that, and again, you know, I've not been a big fan, but at some point he has to not only come across with an authoritative manner with his players in the dressing room and training, but unfortunately, when you're getting pelted by the media, you have to show strength. You have to show that you're in charge. Now, some people may not like that. Some people think that he may have taken advantage of that. I just think in modern day football, it's impossible to keep these things a secret. And especially when, if he hadn't have said anything, the media and the fans would have come out at him in a different way.
Look, you're manager of Arsenal Football Club. That says it all. You are the disciplinarian. So when your captain is the one who needs disciplining, don't forget, Sophie, many people came out and said, there's one rule for one and one rule for another. Arteta has his friend. No, this is a discipline problem that needs to be addressed. And if he drops him, and he's going to get asked the same question 1,001 times in different ways, it's the smart way to deal with it right at the front and not leave the back exposed. Deal with it at the front. Because you know what? At least the fans know it's a disciplinary problem. Because you know what? I look at it and I think to myself, okay, Aubameyang's going through a bit of a tough time. Maybe his head's gone a bit, etc. But you're captain of the football club. It's no excuse to not be on time, Sophie. It's no excuse. Do you know what? It's even more so you get in early. Because, you know, when you're doing great, you know, you could be easy, Ozzy, maybe a minute here or a minute there. But you're captain, you're not doing so well. That's where you got to stick to the line and you get in and you get your work done. I just can't believe some people who are coming out with Arteta threw him under the bus. No, Arteta has to do what's right for Arsenal Football Club.
No matter what your name on the back of the shirt is. And that's what that's what I appreciate, Kev. Jilday says, I've been critical of Mikel, but this one is on Oba 100%. He should lead by example, as this team is full of youth that needs someone to look up to. I completely agree with that. James says, fully with you, Kev. What example does this set to the youngsters? Rich, good evening, Rich. Arteta made a brave decision at the weekend. Now he needs to make another one. JJ, welcome back in the house. Evening, squaddies and Sophie Super Kev. You're spot on, Kev. Utter tosh to say he's been thrown under the bus. I don't agree with Mikel's ways, but I back him fully on this. Well, you know, this is something in some ways that is uniting some of the fans, Kev. We asked for transparency, and that's what Arteta gave. Damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. That is very true. What's that? Two before? Spot on, Kev. Arteta can't let his captain like this. Multiple times, especially with a young team behind him.
True.
You know, the young team, Kev. I want to know. So, and I'll keep putting your comments up. There's a ton of you, 250 of you in live chat right now who want to have your say. It's definitely a polarizing subject, but I think it's an easy one, really.
Sophie, people are saying he's not late for training. He was late for training because he wasn't out training. He was having a COVID test when the team were out training.
Kev, this is what happened at Dortmund.
People have to get your mind in gear, right? Because whatever job you do, I don't know whatever job you do, but let me tell you something. If you are in the building or your office and you are not at your desk or you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, Sophie, being in the building isn't enough. You've got to be doing your work.
Kev, there was one job I had not so long ago, right? I was consulting for a brand and helping them with product placement in like film and TV and stuff. I tell you, I was a consultant, right? And I showed up 7:05 a.m. for a 7. And I'm not a late person. Did it twice. Did not go down well. Like, at all. And when you do have a leadership role, you do have to lead by example. Because if you're tardy, other people are going to think they could be tardy too. And
Sophie, that's the exact point. I'll let you carry on, but that's the exact point.
Yeah. If you're on time, you're late. I love that. I absolutely love that. I would always, especially here where there's so much traffic, I always allow myself, if I'm going into LA, Kev, I'll allow 2 extra hours because you never know what's going to happen. But I want you to explain something else to me, because people can argue about whether or not he turned up on time or he turned up for training. The point is, there is an issue that the manager has made very clear with him and the entire team. And you guys who are kind of defending Aubameyang are acting like this is the first time he's been late or it's the first time he's had discipline issues. Now, unfortunately, we saw this at the end of his time in Dortmund, Kev. I mean, what do you, if you're his teammate, what are you thinking?
Sophie, listen, I look at it one of two ways. One of two ways. After the North London derby, Aubameyang should have been one of the first ones there. He's the captain. He's the one who sets the example. He don't want to go through that humiliation being dropped and the team winning. That's why he never done the warm down after. So you think to yourself, okay, you got a slap on the wrist. Get real now. Get real. Get focused. Because this Aubameyang is not focused. And there's another part of me, Sophie, that thinks to myself, is this being done deliberately? Because at the end of the day, you are captain of the Arsenal Football Club and you cannot show up on time, or you have to be disciplined by the manager because of your behavior. It's not nobody else's behavior, it's his behavior. So again, we've seen it at Dortmund, the back end, right at the end where he done that and he left. Is this the same thing happening here where he starts to get a little bit difficult? Mm-hmm. You know, it's for me, it's either or. There's no middle. It's either he's not doing his duty as captain, or he wants a way out. It's one of the two, as far as I'm concerned.
Brother says Arteta could have lied or just said he's unavailable. Then it gets leaked, and that will undermine Arteta's position 100%. And Kev,
brother said he's not going to lie. There's no need to lie.
No, I think he's saying.
I know. Yeah. I'm agreeing with him. I'm saying he doesn't need to lie. So yeah.
Everyone wants you to go into the dressing room and sort this shit out, Kev. The problem is a lot of people also saying Ornstein said he had a test in France. You still have to have a test when you come back. When
you come back, because he tested in France means nothing to when you get back here. You still have to test.
You know, here's the scoop. And there's a couple of people. There's someone who said that this is the anti-Oba squad. No, it's not. Kev especially has
anti-Oba. I have backed Aubameyang.
Yes.
Time and time and time. I think the first time I said Aubameyang should be dropped was for the Everton game. So that was the first time I've said he should be dropped. That's from last season.
Mm-hmm.
So anti-Oba, don't do me a favor. Whoever you are, stop that nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely not.
The fact of the matter is, if you do something wrong, why do you think you can't be punished? Because you're captain. You shouldn't be doing things wrong if you're captain. You're supposed to be leading by example, and you've got a young team there who need guidance off and on the pitch.
This comment from Steve also very important. United, Spurs, Leicester, and also QPR, other teams in the leagues below, all coming down with infections. Oba put his teammates at risk. Oba's critics have been proven right, says Richard. Terry, Tierney is captain, leads like captain on and off the pitch. For me, he's too injury prone, can't be captain yet. I don't think he's earned it, but that's going to be one of our next talking points with Kev. I just want to ask Kev a couple more questions about this, because Kevin Campbell, you have been captain of Everton Football Club. You've been captain of West Brom, the incredible greatest escape ever in the history of the Premier League football. Unbelievable. You've been in those situations. When you joined West Brom, that team was down. They didn't have confidence. You get to work with Brian Robson. You know, at Everton, you played for Walter Smith. You've played for some incredible managers. You've been captained by Tony Adams. You've been managed by George Graham. I think at some point you can't just criticize Mikel because you don't like his style of football, you don't like him, or you don't like what he's done. I want you to tell me in those jobs that you had when you were captain and you were also not captain, in a dressing room, when this kind of stuff happens, can you talk me through a little bit, whether it was an experience, you don't have to name names, of course, but at some point when, for me, is this the end of that Wenger-Emery player period? January was a mass culling, Kev. You've still got Oba, you've still got Laka, you've got Xhaka, El Neni's still there. But can you take me into being part of a club, inheriting a new manager, whether it's new players, when something like this happens, what do players really think? What are you all doing?
Well, again, you look at the disciplinary side, and again, you go back and you look at what's happened against Spurs. So you remember you've got young players in there, and the captain is the figurehead. Let's have it right. The captain is the figurehead of the team. So when you get in the dressing room, the guidance usually is with the captain. There'll be other players as well who form a group of experience, of course, because you're going to be led by these guys. But when it's the captain who's the one who's being disciplined for stuff that is trivial, really, being on time or discipline and all that kind of thing. When you're Arsenal, that's what you sign up for if you accept the armband, Sophie. That's what you sign up for. You are not just a player. You are the player. So everybody else gravitates towards you when you're the captain. Tony Adams had it from a young age in abundance. David O'Leary was a real special guy who was there, who's seen it, done it. He was like a lieutenant to Tony. Then you had the experienced players up, and then there was the youngsters who were coming up. But Tony was always above his experience. He was young, but he seemed like he'd been experienced for years. He was built to be a captain. And I'm not saying Tony didn't have his problems, Sophie, but lateness and all that kind of thing, that will get dealt with in the dressing room by the experienced players. But the problem was, Sophie, the experienced players weren't the ones who were getting disciplined. It was the youngsters, because the youngsters have to learn how to be experienced pros.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you see this righty thing here?
Mm-hmm.
That never happened under George Graham. Check the difference. That coming from the same place, that never happened under George Graham. That happened under Arsene Wenger. So there's a difference with the managers, and I wasn't there, so I can't tell you what was going on the inside. But obviously, Wrighty was the man at Arsenal. He was the man. So maybe Arsene Wenger cut him a little slack. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the dressing room put Wrighty in check. Not Wenger, it was the dressing room.
Yeah. And Wenger didn't enable some players. He did.
How?
I know.
How? I mean, deflect from his record. How? How can he? The record Kevin, is there.
Someone said it earlier and said, we've just had a really good 3-0 win, great second half. And here we are talking about the Aubameyang issue. Someone else said,
we'll cover all the good bits as well.
Kev, is everyone making a bigger deal out of this? I don't think so. I think this is really pivotal.
I think they are. I think they're using it to have a go at the manager.
Well, that's wrong.
Because let's be honest, Sophie. It's Aubameyang who's made the problem. Nobody else. So how all of a sudden the manager gets called for it is beyond me. I don't get that.
I also think that this also shows that Arteta really is the man for now.
He's the manager. Yeah, he's the manager.
And no matter what everyone wants to see happen or not, the truth of it is he's in charge, whether you like it or not, and he's got to manage.
You're right. He has to manage, and he's going to manage in the way he sees fit. That's what managers do. And if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But you know what? It's about time some discipline got put into the Arsenal Football Club. Players doing what they want when they want, with no repercussion. That's not right. We can't do that in our professional life, Sophie.
No, we can't.
So why should he be able to? Why should Aubameyang be able to? It's not right.
And LT, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. Just because I agree with Arteta on this occasion, that doesn't change what I think about him as a manager or how I've reacted with certain games. This is the part that's really difficult sometimes for people to understand and listen to each other's opinions. It's like, he's the manager of Arsenal Football Club. His captain has breached a rule, okay, and clearly that affects the team. Preparation, lots of little things. Kev will tell you, you don't have your captain there, he's late, you need to work on tactics, we've got a game coming up, whatever it is, that's not cool, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing too is, someone wrote in chat, if we know about 2 or 3 occasions with Aubameyang, there could be 6 or 7 or 8. And everyone was also taking issue with when he said, I'm the cool captain or the coolest captain. You know, unfortunately for him, Kev, he's not doing it on the pitch right now. And that adds to what's happened.
Yeah, but you know what, Sophie? It adds to it, but it shouldn't. Whether he's doing it or not. If you breach club rules, you're going to get reprimanded. It's that simple. Whether you're captain or you're just in the youth team coming up and you're training with the first team.
Okay, so tomorrow you're the manager. Aubameyang comes in. Do you strip him of the captaincy of the Arsenal Football Club?
If ever there was an opportunity to do it, it's now. And it's going to... Well, actually, Sophie, the way it is right now, it doesn't matter because Aubameyang's not playing. Do you understand what I mean? So he's not the captain when the team walk out there on Wednesday because he's not even starting. But if ever there was a chance for the manager to make that move, this is the time. This is the time. Or, as a manager, no, I'm not going to do it because I need him. I need Aubameyang. So I'm not going to make that move just yet because there will be a time he comes back into form and he's going to play because he's my captain. So again, you can balance it out, weigh it up as much as you want. I don't know whether Arteta thinks it's the right time, but we're going to find out very soon.
So my next 2 questions kind of intertwine. If he's stripped of the captaincy, Lacazette is obviously the captain, becomes the captain through, the high and stuff, and through his vice captain, right? So my question to you is, would you, knowing what's going on with Aubameyang, all the rumors brewing about Barcelona now too, of course, the timing of all this is insane. He's going off to AFCON. Do you keep Lacazette now, Kev? And do you make Lacazette captain? Or a little bit like what I mentioned earlier, use the opportunity to get the Wenger-Emery broom out and clear the decks?
The decks are going to be cleared, Soph. Lacazette is not staying. That's for sure. He's not staying. And Aubameyang, with these kind of moves he's making, could mean that he wants out as well. Could mean. I'm not saying he does, But it could because, throwing your toys out the pram, doing little bits like this, it's not a good look for your captain. No chance. It's not a good look.
Who do you make captain then, Kev, given the opportunity?
Well, the one ever present who I see is Gabriel. Obviously, Kieran Tierney could be in there as well, 100%. We know Martin Odegaard is captain of Norway, but I don't think he's right for Arsenal captain at this present time. And, people talk about Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale, I don't really like goalkeepers being captain, but, down the line, Sophie, I think you can't do wrong, whether it's Gabriel and Tierney or Tierney and Gabriel. I think that would be a good captain and vice captain, whichever way you go. And obviously, further down the line, Ramsdale could be a good captain as a third choice. So,
see, I think that Ramsdale's already a captain on the pitch, and there's no need to give him an armband. I agree with you, Kev. I don't like the goalkeeper being I think it works for international football a lot more than club everyday football. Now, to twist this, and little Soph took the question right out of my Greek mouth here. Would you lose respect for Mikel Arteta if the captaincy goes back to Xhaka?
No, I wouldn't lose respect. Sophie, you know my thoughts on Granit Xhaka. I've said it a million times. I don't even want him at the club, Sophie. But the fact of the matter is, Granit Xhaka came from being injured from nowhere, and he's came right back into the side. Right? So I'm not into this losing respect for Mikel Arteta and all that kind. He's got to choose who he chooses. Remember, his decisions, he's going to live and die by his decisions. I wouldn't do it. He's got to pick somebody, Sophie. And maybe he might not want to give it to them youngsters because he might think that's putting too much pressure on them. He might. So if he gave it to Xhaka, I wouldn't like it, Sophie. That's for sure. I would not like it. But
I know, Winston. I have a feeling that this might happen. Stradamus is looking into a crystal football. And I think he might think it's too soon for a Gabriel. Thomas Partey is not a leader. He's not a captain, you guys. We're going to get to Thomas next with Kev because we missed his comments on that post-game show, just a little snippet of it on the video last week. Kieran Tierney, too injury prone. Not sure that will happen. Tomiyasu is a born leader. Again, one that doesn't need an armband, right? Sambi was captain of Anderlecht, but 21, he's not going to get that at Arsenal, especially if he can't get into the team every week. Saka needs to focus on football. We don't need to put that pressure on him like we did with Cesc. I mean, those are for me, it's Odegaard, Gabby, Tierney, maybe as a vice captain. I don't know, but I just can't believe how we've absolutely balls this captaincy up at Arsenal, Kev, over the years.
Yeah, but you know what, Sophie? It kind of worked out at first, and then it goes pear-shaped. Unfortunately, Sophie, the captains that we're used to are not around anymore. I think, could Gabriel grow to be that leader? Tough, strong, he's the figurehead. I think he could. Tierney could be that player as well. Needs to obviously be consistent and keep his fitness as well. But I think those two are the prime candidates. But, Arsenal captains of the past are not the captains of the present, unfortunately. We've been spoiled, Sophie. And I know it may sound crazy. We've been spoiled.
I think that's why. I mean, and I think even to take it back, Kev, and I know this is an important subject, you guys. This is our club. This is our captain. I don't care about how much you earn, whether you earn 50 grand a week or 350 grand a week. If you're captain, You know, you have to represent the Arsenal
You're not just
Football
a man.
Club.
You're not just a man, Sophie.
No.
You're the man.
Right. And for me as a fan, and I'm a bit of an old school fan, this is why I said I wanted him stripped of the captaincy after the North London derby debacle. Kev knows I was very strong on that. Mm-hmm. Kev wanted to, you know, Kev was saying you have to play. You may strip him of the captaincy, but you still got to play him. You got to play your best players, and you stood by Aubameyang for a while, which is why I couldn't wait to hear what you had to say on this tonight. But when we had Tony Adams, we had Patrick Vieira. But the other thing too, Kev, as an opposing fan, I respected like Brian Robson. I thought he was one of the best captains ever in football. What a captain! What a leader! Right? You know, there's Graham Souness. I know that people think he's a bit of a pill right now on Sky, but dude was a proper captain.
Proper captain,
you know. Yeah. And I think because we grew up in that era where you could probably name every single captain from every single team during that time. Peter Reid.
They were the figureheads. They were the figureheads. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So these people were the figureheads of the team. Period. And this is why it's crazy to think the fan base are even saying the manager's throwing him under the bus when he's the captain of the Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
People must understand what that means. Do you remember when Lauren Koscielny wouldn't go to America, Sophie?
Yeah,
And I lost my shit, man. He's the captain of the Arsenal. And he's taking that personal decision. I'm not going to go. When you're captain of the Arsenal, it's rubbish. That is rubbish.
Absolute rubbish. John Terry would never have done that. You know, Steven Gerrard would never have done that. Roy Keane. I mean, look, it's like that last of that era. And look, I'm not crowning John Terry in any glory. He's done some horrible things. But when you look at just his job as captain of Chelsea, it's one of their best captains ever. You can even go back to Dennis Wise. What a leader like Dennis Wise was. You know, there's a whole other school of... Thank you, Mike. I was just about to I asked Emery about Koscielny in that press conference, the one where Xhaka wanted to kill Mike and Emery wanted to kill me. Although Emery was very gracious, I said to him, what a mess. What's going on? And people are right. It's been a bit of a mess since Wenger. And it's still like, this is where I want Arteta to take control, Kev, because when Laka came off against Southampton, the armband went to Rob Holding. Come on, man. Rob Holding? I love Rob. He's a good kid. But you got to have a better plan.
Would you prefer it to go to Xhaka or Rob Holding?
No, Gabriel. I would have loved it.
No.
Oh, no.
Xhaka or Rob Holding?
Rob Holding.
Yeah.
All right. We've spent a good amount of time on this, and I'm sure the story is going to evolve. And listen, by the way, everyone agrees that family always comes first. Always. And this is, if, you know, we know that Oba's been dealing with his mum's health a lot in the last few months, Kev, and last season. And your mum comes first, always. Just take care of your business professionally. Do the right thing. That's all. No one's going to criticize you for taking care of your family first, ever. But if you have an agreement with your employer, then you have to figure out how to figure that part out. And clearly, that's not what our captain did in this instance.
It's not Aubameyang's first dance. He's the captain. He's as experienced as anybody at Arsenal. He's probably the most experienced player we got.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's him who's doing these things, it makes me think, you know, that's what puts me on the side of, you know, is this upheaval trying to create something that isn't there to force a move? I don't like it's bad narrative. It looks terrible. It looks terrible to those youngsters who we're trying to develop and bring up with the experience. It looks bad. It's a bad look. Don't like it.
Okay, so let's get on to another couple of... So the Aubameyang, Lacazette, next captain, that's our 3. 2 more for you. We'll get these out before the hour mark. Thomas Partey, Kev. Mm-hmm. I think I asked you this question last week. There was a moment in that first half, and I can't remember who the Southampton player was. He completely bullied Thomas Partey off the ball. Like Thomas Partey weighed 102 pounds or something. And I know that Thomas Partey improved in the second half, no doubt about that. But do you think we need to edit the narrative or the question on Thomas Partey in that the question is who's going to partner him?
Yeah, you got to play your best players, Soph. And I know Thomas Partey hasn't been of his usual standard. He just hasn't. And I think he even gave himself, what did he give himself, 4 out of 10?
Yeah.
Because he knows he's a lot better than what he's showing, Sophie. But this is the difference. He's the best midfielder we got, bar none. He is. I know he's not been playing like it, but he is the best midfielder we've got. So, you know, I just think you've got to, it's either you play him in there and you let him ride through the storm, or you take him out of there. But I'd rather play him, because when he's not there, we are not the same team.
My cousin said to me, he goes, watch when Partey goes to AFCON. He'll be the player of the tournament. Right? George is not a fan. And everyone's waiting and waiting and waiting, Kev. Why do you think we've not seen the best of him? We've talked about the box
of the team.
And
we haven't seen the best of the team. Thomas Partey cannot change Arsenal's fortunes on his own. He cannot do that. Can he play better? 100% he can play a lot better than he's showing so. So I'm never going to say he's not playing great and expecting him to just switch it on. No, he's not playing great, Sophie, 100%. Maybe it's a bit of a confidence issue. Maybe it's him still trying to come to terms with the Premier League. Because remember, the Premier League, everything's different. It's a game of football, but things are different in the Premier League. The physicality, the running power, the opposition, even at Southampton. Arsenal didn't start well, but you know what? Southampton put Arsenal under heavy pressure, because that's what they do. So you have to take into consideration as well the opposition. Thomas Partey is not playing well at the moment. But let's be honest, Arsenal haven't been playing well themselves. Sometimes, you know, Soph, let me just say this. Sometimes when you're not playing well, and I know Partey improved in the second half, and it's not to the standard that he normally is, but what tends to happen is this is why you can blood a youngster in the team that's playing well. Why? Because you could make up for anybody who's not having a good game. But when the team aren't playing well enough, these things stand out, don't they? You know, he's your go-to guy. We're looking at Aubameyang up top. You know, we look at Partey in the midfield. We look at the central defense, and we look at Ramsdale. We talk about the spine. And if that spine isn't playing well, we're struggling. And that's why we struggled. Against the Southampton, first 20 minutes or whatever, you know, we really struggled. And then we got to move together and the confidence came in and we started to play better. That is how it goes. He's just not playing well enough at the moment, Soph. He's not.
Gunnar Gregg puts it right. It's a big test this weekend, this Wednesday, Kev, for our midfield, playing against Rice and Souček. It's going to be a massive test.
Well, you know what, Soph? It's a massive test for our team. It really is a massive test. Because let me tell you what happens in the trenches there, Soph. These West Ham players against the Arsenal boys, they could cancel each other out. but it's the supporting cast that makes Rice and Souček look great as well. When we're playing to our top and we got Saka doing bits on the outside and we got Smith Rowe and we got all the boys doing, it makes the midfield look good because you know what? They give it to these guys, they give it to them early, give it to Odegaard, and then we're cooking. It makes them look better. Rice is a top player, by the way. Great Gouda Chapman. He's a top player. Souček, another very experienced player who knows the position well. Listen, they're gonna ask us questions and cause us problems. 100%. Can we ask them problems? If we can ask them problems, that means Rice and Souček have to protect. Then our midfielders have more space. But if we're not playing well, Sophie, they're going to be asking us the questions. And we want to be stopping that ball into Mikel Antonio. Let's be honest. We don't want him. We don't want him dictating the game. And I know Gabriel played him pretty tough last season. But still, I think he's going to want to move on to Ben White's side. Because I think Mikel Antonio will believe he will outstrength Ben White. So there's little caveats in the game to deal with, little details.
There are going to be lots of there's going to be lots of balance, lots of really good duels within the duel of the 11v11. I'm really excited for this game. Maybe I don't know why I'm not excited for it, because I think we're going to win by whatever, but I'm excited to see how we play, like you said, Kev, against a very disciplined, well-organized West Ham side.
West Ham side.
Who under Moyes have become really good in and out of possession.
They are. And you know what? They're not fancy, Soph.
They're not.
Especially at the back and midfield. They're not fancy because most of their creativity is get it to the front and let them do their thing. And don't forget, they beat Liverpool and Chelsea.
City.
Set pieces was key. Of course, set pieces were key. But you know what? They put them under pressure, Sophie. They put Liverpool under pressure. They put Chelsea under heavy pressure. And I thought they deserved to win the game in the end.
I think they've been great. They really have. Now, whether or not they're going to be able to keep all of this up, being in 4 competitions, we'll see, because definitely. Look at you getting a compliment from Newman, Kev. Can I ask really one final question before we move to the last talking point of the night with regards to Thomas Partey? A lot of the times we don't see him playing in that box to box that he loves. We've never really unleashed him in what we saw him shine at Atletico, and he was able to do that because he played with some really good players. So I always hear people say now that we get the best out of Xhaka because he plays with Thomas Partey, Kev. But if we're going to get the best out of Thomas, the goal isn't to get the best out of Xhaka. The goal is to get the best out of Thomas Partey. Out of Maitland-Niles and Sambi and Xhaka, who do you think for now, before maybe we invest in another midfielder, who brings out the best in him to allow him what to do? Because it feels like, so he's being stifled, like you said, because we can't build forget the infrastructure of the midfield. What's happening around us as a team and the way we play?
We're not strong enough. Sophie, Sambi is a good player, but he's still learning, okay? And he will become a really good player. Maitland-Niles in there. We know what Maitland-Niles can do, but he's not the first choice, or else he would have been playing. So we've seen him have good games and we've seen him have poor games, okay? Steve F, no, he didn't. He played in a 2 with Koke. They played 4-4-2 mostly. That's what they've done. Xhaka, we know Xhaka's a sideways. You play sideways. If he plays forward, I'll fall off my chair. So we know what he is, so we know what Xhaka is. You know, put them all together and maybe you'll have someone who, maybe Partey will then feel comfortable enough to just go, knowing that the person behind him could handle business.
Mm-hmm.
Not only get around the pitch, ball pops out, could crash the ball. Somebody makes a run from midfield, could track the runner. All of these things. I believe he's been stifled. Why? Solely because we talked about it in the summer, Sophie. We need a central midfielder who's an all-rounder like him, so they can take it in turns. We saw Sambi play a little bit more forward of Partey, and I think that helped Sambi because Sambi's a ball player. But defensively, I don't think Sambi is quite there yet because it's all new to him, the Premiership, the speed of it, etc. So not detracting how Partey's playing now because he isn't playing well.
Mm-hmm.
But you gain confidence with a partner who you can rely on. I can rely on you, Sophie, because I know when I log on here, 5 minutes, you're always there. Do you understand what I mean? I can rely on that. On the pitch, I rely on my wing. I rely on my midfield. I've got to rely on people. If I'm not so sure, Sophie, most of the time, there's a saying in football. If you make 1, 2, 3 runs and you don't get the ball, a lot of the time you stop making the runs because you want to try and show for them. Maybe Thomas is not going to take that chance because he doesn't trust who's beside him yet. So it's
interesting.
Sometimes it's a tough one. So do you remember in the summer we were linked with Neves, we were linked with the a couple of the Italian midfielders, etc. And we were saying, wow, them in our team would be great. Why? Because they're experienced, they know what to do.
Even Basuma,
Well, we've seen Basuma. Not only can he sit, he can go as well.
Right.
And that's the partnership.
Kev, do you think Wijnaldum loan would suit us from January 100%. To May? 100%. Would you rate that type of 100%. Acquisition?
He's a player. Not only is he a winner, who can score goals, but do you know what, Sophie? He can do it all. He can sit there. He can say to Thomas Partey, you go. I've had my... You go. I've made a few runs forward. It's your time. So Thomas Partey could go a few times. Then he say, right, you sit because I'm going. Let them be expressing themselves. We don't see enough of it from Thomas Partey because I truly believe, I don't think he trusts his partner yet.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, everyone, loving your take on all this stuff tonight, Kev. Some really great comments, everyone in chat. Keep them coming. Kev, he's got the experience too, and I feel like with AFCON coming up, and also we don't know what's going to happen with COVID, with all of this stuff. A player like Wijnaldum, he could be the fuse that lights. You know how.
Catalyst. A catalyst.
What Jesse Lingard did for West Ham last season. Comes in on loan, ignites that place, gets goals, does his thing. Now, Wijnaldum coming in, totally different, of course, player, but can come in and add a layer to our foundation that would allow for what you've said exactly. And also breed even more confidence into a defense that has that, but has been very exposed in those games against Liverpool, against Everton.
So knows the Premier League. Work. He's a grafter. He'll get up and back. He'll press people. He'll put tackles in. Unsung hero at Liverpool, by the way. Wasn't really, he's there. And could you imagine? We let him leave on a free. Could you imagine if it was us? But obviously Liverpool bought who they bought to kind of cover that position. He's a different player, but he's more of a ball player.
Yeah.
But getting him in at Arsenal, he gives us the knowledge of the Premier League. He gives us a work ethic and a toughness that will hunt people down. He'll press. He'll do what the manager wants. And last but not least, Sophie, he can score goals.
Yeah.
It's
what
so
Ian just
important.
said,
Yeah, he could score goals. So even just those three things add to what we've got in midfield.
I think that he would instantly become one of our best players. Instantly. I have so much respect for that player. And I think he's realized he probably made a bad choice going to PSG, Kev. I can't blame him. He was offered a ton of money. I mean, what are you going to do?
He
in
went
the
on
time
a
we're
free,
living in.
He went on a free.
And he got a big fat paycheck for it. And that's fine.
No, Soph. He got a couple of Loomis trucks. He got the big Loomis trucks, the big Loomis trucks. Listen, it is what it is. And when you do go to those clubs, it's a balancing act, because necessarily you coming in on a free don't mean that you're going to play.
I know. Our good friend Chris from Burkamp Wonderland, the pirate, the French hipster himself, will probably not like me saying this, so don't anyone tell him. But I also think once you play in the Premier League and you go to a La Liga or a Liga, other than like the Marseille versus PSG game, Lyon and those, it can be a little boring. It can, and I'm not saying Norwich versus, Newcastle right now is an exciting fixture, but I think the Premier League offers a lot more big game moments than some of the other leagues. So,
well, it's a bigger league as well, isn't it?
It is. Kev, we have 520 people in live chat on a Monday. You're on fire. Tell them.
I need minimum 260. Come on. Hit it like Vinny. Smash it up. Are you not enjoying? Are you not entertained, Sophie? Sophie run that one on me on Friday. Are you not entertained? Broke them up.
They're not going to like it because I'm going to end the show in a minute and they're all going to start on me. Where's Sophie time? We're going to end on a really positive note, Kev, because the second half against Southampton, I know Southampton are probably one of the worst teams that we have played all season. They have had some injuries too. But the first 15, 20 minutes, they gave us a scare. My goodness.
They went for us. Remember, we discussed it on Friday, Soph. We said they're going to come for us because they're not going to be frightened. They're not frightened of us. No chance.
You said it big time on Friday.
Yeah, listen, that aura of the Emirates isn't there. So they're coming for our neck because you know what they expected to do, Soph? They expected to take the lead and put us under heavy pressure. Why? Because the fans might turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what a lot of the away teams want.
Yeah. Well, in our little list, the one that Newman spotted, I made a spelling mistake. We both had 3 points versus Southampton. Kev, we both went for a win against West Ham as well. So
our record against West Ham ain't bad, Soph.
No, it's not. It's not bad.
Not bad at all.
I
think they've only won a couple in 20 or something like that, more. So yeah, I'm going for the boys. Well,
I'm going to have more on that tomorrow, and I'll have some stats and facts and bits and bobs from some of our previous meetings. We'll give you our predictions on West Ham tomorrow. But I did want to end on a positive note because that goal that started from the back with Ramsdale was just an absolute peach. It was vintage Arsenal. It was just really, it got me off my seat. And I didn't want to get off my seat because I was kind of mad at them for the first 20 minutes, Kev. But it's been a long time since it got me off my feet. And do you know who else gets me off my feet? Martinelli. And I'm going to end tonight's top five. I know I'm going to go a little over the 1 hour, I promise you. But Martinelli magic. Kev, if he's fit, does he start? Well, now, I know we have to manage him carefully.
Yeah, no,
who sacrificed? Who sacrificed? Smith Rowe?
Sophie, Martinelli has to start. Now, the fact of the matter is, Smith Rowe was on the bench. Wasn't he on Saturday?
He was.
So, the manager has to make a decision of who, because he looks at the opposition and he'll look at who's a fit. But Martinelli has taken his chance, Sophie. We've discussed this before. If Martinelli takes his chance, then he creates the manager a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting the work in. He was so unlucky not to get that great goal where he's tried to find a far corner, hit the post. He's playing well, Sophie. So he's not going to be dropped. He's going to play. That's
Kev,
for sure.
I just love everything about this kid. I mean, and also it was a Brazilian peach. His distribution, you know, we've been so mad about our corners and set pieces and how we waste a lot of them. And remember, I said to you a while ago, if you don't clear the first defender, I'm fining you £500 every time you do that. And that goal was brilliant. And I love the way Gabriel just runs into the box. He's got such presence. He's such a joy. And let me tell you, in a time where our captain is causing havoc, left, right, and center, and social media is having a meltdown. If you haven't seen the video where Gabriel finds out he's going to be a dad, please go and watch it. It choked me up. It was such a beautiful moment. And I love seeing more of these types of sharings. Like these players, these new players who've come in, they're so positive. And the way they all come together, they scored. And then he's got the ball under the thing. And they're all like, what? You're pregnant? What Lacazette's face
was like, really? What? No, that was fantastic. That was brilliant. The whole thing got together. The teams were there and they really enjoyed it. So we love seeing that, Sophie. We love seeing the Arsenal win.
Yeah.
We love seeing the Arsenal play better. We do. We like to see them play better. I like them to get the 3 points. And then if they play better, bonus, brilliant. But that camaraderie, I think, is important to us. Really important.
Very, very. And it was great to just play the way we did. The handbrake went off, Kev. Big time it went off. And I know we're not going to play like that against West Ham, are we? There's just no way. But we could talk about that a little bit more tonight. But it was fun to watch. I actually had fun watching us play football. It was, Tony was looking at me. She goes, you're smiling. I said, we're playing really good football right now.
What did she
Go
say
back in the other room and don't book it.
What did she say to you in the first 20 minutes? So
are you going to be swearing all off?
Oh, jeez.
Oh gosh, hilarious. I think Kev froze in time. Has Kev frozen in time, or am I freezing in time and I don't know?
Frozen. I am not freezing, Sophie. But this is the thing. Sometimes you have to weather the storm of the opposition. Where we didn't play well, 100% we didn't play well to start. But we've got to give Southampton some credit. They came for us.
It did.
Newman!
Kev, he's trying to campaign for him to become the captain of the Highbury Squad chat.
He's not no captain. No.
You got to get past this guy first, right?
But you know something, Soph, and this is really was important for me. You still got to keep playing and you still got to keep trying to play and do the right things. Do you know that goal against Southampton? We'd seen a similar goal against Fulham. We'd seen a similar goal against Liverpool. Could you remember in the Community Shield where they played out from the back? We've seen a couple of the team do these things a couple of times. Why they can't do it all the time is because sometimes we're not at that level. Sometimes we're not good enough to do it. Sometimes we get trapped. And it's a split second. You know, the split second. Let's be honest, Ramsdale nearly got caught.
Yeah.
He kind of skipped a bit and then played it.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was really good play. I thought Tomiyasu, I'm telling you, this guy, he can play, Sophie. He can play.
Kev, we've got a player profile coming on Tomiyasu, by the way. But I tell you, he's I'll say this. People might think I'm crazy. He's one of our best signings in years, and he's my first player on the team sheet. Tomiyasu, right at the top.
He's one of them. He's definitely one of. Gabriel will be what that back five, right?
Done.
Whichever permutation with they're the first names down. Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel, Tierney or Tavares or whatever. I think they're the first 5. Because you know what, Sophie? We are seeing these players have a love and a desire for the football club and that shirt. And we know sometimes they don't play well, but you know what? One thing they don't ever stop doing is trying, Sophie. People get, I've heard people dig out Ben White. He never stops trying. He never stops having a go. He never chucks the towel in. Gabriel the same. Tierney the same. Tommy Arsenal definitely not. They are committed. Ramsdale committed. They
don't hide, Kev.
No.
Neither does Emile Smith-Rowe. Neither does Saka. Neither does Martinelli. All of those new signings.
Odegaard,
even Sambi and Nuno making the mistakes.
Don't hide.
No, they may make mistakes.
Don't hide.
And even when Nuno made his mistake, he kept going. He never gave up. He still 100%. Tried. And that's the difference. You saw players like Bellerin quit in a game. Mustafi quit in a game. Kolasinac. All these players, this new DNA and culture is very cool, and I like it. And I like the way Ramsdale bellows at everyone from the back. It's fantastic to see. It really, really is.
We just
Brilliant
need
stuff.
more. We just need more of that type of player in the squad.
Yes.
Once you got that, you got competition, and you got people who, if they get a chance, Sophie, they're gonna perform. That's what happens at the top. That's what happens at the top clubs. And we're a big club, but we're not performing like a top club.
I hope Arteta's brave enough against West Ham.
Why wouldn't he be?
I don't know. I think.
Why do you say that? What do you expect him to do? So we're at home.
I know, and our home record is the second best in the league. If we could play every game at home this season, we could win the Premier League. We're so good at home. I don't know. Well, I feel like the way he showed too much respect to Manchester United. I hope we don't do that with West Ham. I know that was away at Old Trafford, Kev. I get it, but they were there for the taking. We both agree on that.
Yeah, but you know what, Sophie? I'm going to say this again, and I'm like an old broken record. As a player, you know when the opposition are there for the taking. You know it. So it's for you to come on. You've got to do it on the pitch, Soph. I watched Mikel Arteta because I was pitch side for the Everton game. And he was going crazy because they kept dropping deep. And people tell me he tells them to drop back. He's not. He's forever trying to get them up the pitch. But sometimes when you do have a lead, players tend to think that's safe. Going back is safe. It's not. The more you squeeze up is the more you can trap them and win the ball higher up the pitch. So, that's my observation watching him on the sideline. And if the manager liked them going back, then he wouldn't be saying, get up. He wouldn't be doing that. He's constantly telling them to get up. So
here's why I'm really looking. By the way, I told people at 59 minutes the show was ending. It's now 8 minutes over.
Time. It's all right. It's
and it's just like leaving Anfield 89 early, or the treble Man United leaving early. Sorry, that was my fault. That one. But no, Kev, I was going to say that. Here's why I'm looking forward to this game, because I think West Ham are our. Some people say we're not West Ham's level; they're much better than us. Well, the table doesn't lie. So where we're at, I'm just going to use this as an example right now, because for me, this is the barometer, right? We knew that we weren't going to beat Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea. Those are tough games. Manchester United, it's always kind of, even though we felt we could beat them, it didn't happen. West Ham is the game that I know we've said we have to win, but this is the game where I really want to see how our players match up to their players, how our manager matches up to Moyes. That is why I'm very curious to see what we do and how we perform in this game.
Well,
Really
Sophie, do you know, like we've had games before against Manchester United, and we beat them, and then we'll be jumping.
Yeah.
This is another game. We win, we jump.
Mm-hmm.
We win, we go above West Ham.
It's a big deal.
That should be incentive enough. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is huge. Of course, West Ham are beatable. West Ham are beatable. Definitely, they're beatable. But so are we. That's the issue. So we need a strong performance from everybody, Soph. We do.
We do. And Rich, I agree with you. He's such a legend in the game. And we get to talk football with him right here on the Highbury Squad and get that player perspective. Took us inside the dressing room on the Aubameyang thing tonight. Love the matchup talk with Partey and what we're going to face. We'll get stuck into it a little bit more tomorrow night, facing West Ham on Wednesday, of course. And Kev will also give you his predictions. He's been good with his predictions lately. We haven't given you the round of applause. You said 3-0 too, didn't you? Against
South?
Oh, you said 2. Okay.
2-0, yeah.
The week before you got the result right. Yeah. Josh said 3.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing? And
yes.
There's one thing I want squaddies to watch out for on Wednesday. Players running off the back of Granit Xhaka. Because that is one of our weaknesses of Granit Xhaka not tracking his runners.
Kev, James had a real issue.
And you know who they've got to do that? That's Souček.
Yep.
He starts popping up in your box.
You're in trouble.
Maybe Tommy Arsenal could deal with him on one side, but he'll beat Tierney on their right hand side, our left. So just be careful of that one, guys. I want you to watch out for that, because that will be what David Moyes will want to work on. That's for sure.
And maybe we'll save it for tomorrow night, but I want to get your take. When James did the post-game show, he had a real issue with Xhaka slowing down Ben White and Ben White not being able to play his game because of Xhaka being in front of him, Kev, in the sense, and everyone has a problem with Xhaka slowing the game down, and the fact that his lack of awareness sometimes to just pass the ball, and I know it drives you nuts when he...
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe we can talk about that a little bit more tomorrow night, Kev, the Ben White, Xhaka, and if that would be the same team, then, we can tackle that. Right, yeah. That's it for tonight. Listen, it's Radio Gold here on YouTube with the Highbury Squad and Super Kevin Campbell. If you want to share with your friends, please do so. Hit that like button on the way out.
Sophie, how close how close are we to 9,000?
We passed it.
When?
We passed it at the weekend. Did I not tell you?
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Thanks, squaddies. Thank you, everybody. Sophie, hostess with the mostest, as always, brilliant. Great chat. Great 5 questions for Monday Madness. And you squaddies, you always turn up and you always, you always create problems and you give us hell sometimes, but we love you. We really do. So hit the like button on the way out. We love you. Always remember, do a Vinny. Nut it, hit it, touch it, just caress it. A like. And squaddies, we're going to see you tomorrow. And whatever you do, have a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, night at Squaddies.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.